Um, Actually, I have three. First, where do we sign the pledge? First of all, my name is Norman Corato. We bootstrap a company 3 years ago called Spingin. And because companies like us, we're a startup, we cannot afford to bribe.
Yeah. I'm
So
glad to hear that.
where do we sign the pledge? So it's easier in our presentation to say, we sign the pledge, we cannot bribe you, so don't even approach us. Okay.
Yes,
So that's the
actually,
first question. The second question is, um, I was meaning to ask this question from the bigger panel this morning. Uh, is there going to be an ASEAN standard? Because when we were producing our first product, I went to the National Telecommunications Commission and said, we would like to apply for a type approval of a product we invented. And they said, oh, okay. And then you have to send this uh, to a foreign country for testing. I says, where is that? He says, we don't know. How much does it cost? We don't know. And so, and my problem is I have a product I cannot have tested,
electrical,
electronic product.
electronic.
And so I was kind of wondering, since in the Philippines you have a skewed sense of standards where LTE is not LTE and 10 megabit is actually 768 KB. Is there going to be an ASEAN standard, so to speak, where, you know, Nestle pulled out Maggi noodles in one of the countries, and I was wondering if the Philippines is doing the same because they said it's not safe for the consumer. So when we're doing ASEAN and the standards are not, harmonized, who's gonna say, what product is good and what product is not good? Okay, so I guess that's it. That's two questions. Okay.
Where's the third one? Para isang ano na lang. Okay. The first one, those who are interested to sign the pledge, just Google Integrity Initiative and all the instructions are there, including the self-assessment. The self-assessment is very interesting to take because right there, you will be given a mark and highlight the areas where you are weak and zero in for improvement. And that's what we did. So that's the one. Integrity Initiative website. The second one for electronic products. Now don't let this change the way you see me. I'm not a geek, half geek only. In my past life, I used to work for a British company for inspection and testing laboratory. And for electronic products, in the absence of a domestic product standard for testing, you can adopt the globally accepted testing, okay? There is American standard, ASTM, and in Europe there is DIN, BS, British standard, but I see a product marking. If this is what you're supplying, and it has passed the test and inspection following a particular standards, if you have done the testing in Europe, you may have the CE mark, the seal on your product. So when you export or even when you sell it here, when I buy electronics, I check for the CE mark or its counterpart in the US called UL mark. That's product standard certification that it has gone through successful testing and inspection, particularly for that whatever product you are supporting.
I remembered my last question. And I think it relates to your service. Uh, we're 3 years in business, and like I said, we bootstrap the business. And right now we have customers, so we're spitting out about 17 million to 25 million data points a week. I was kind of wondering, in your presentation, it looked like you had boxes of physical archiving. Our data, they're being now used as for forensic evidence, because sometimes when they discover something late, they kind of dig, through
Manufacturing
time,
history, what, yeah.
like that. And so, what would be is the cost prohibitive for a kind of business like ours? We have, we're small, we cannot afford much, but we would like to protect our data and, also be competitive because we're, standards
Yes.
compliant. So, I don't know if you can say something about how
Yes.
your pricing model works, or offline? I don't
In Lane Archive, there's no big or small companies because we don't want to discriminate, right? So what we do is we give the same protection for data, highly confidential and sensitive data. We even have clinical researches of big pharmaceutical firms that they need to keep for 15, 20 years because they need 30 years. They need to go back and see how they can develop current drugs, right? So we do offer on a May Pepino here is our Cebu manager. We have a facility here in Cebu, Davao, and two in Manila. What's the cost of quality and risk so that you can have peace of mind is only 10 pesos per box per month here in Cebu. Not much, right? That's why when they hired me, this is how much I have to sell. So 10 pesos per box per month. You can sleep well at night and you don't have to worry about safety and security. Let them do the job for you. That's the small SBE we call standard box equivalent, 10 pesos. And there's the medium box that is popular. That's how much? 15 or 18? So, and there's the bigger box. So if you have more boxes, she could give you discounts. Yeah. And we do give good rates for LGUs because the lane is owned by Irish. And since bit of history, 36 years ago, the president of Lane attended a convention here in Cebu. A Cebuana got his heart. He never left the country, and he got all his brothers here and their money funneled into business investments here in Cebu initially, and then all over the Philippines. And they're all married to Filipinas. Yes.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I happen to be one of the staff for Innovation and Technology Support Office in one of our universities in Cebu. I have two questions. Number one, can you please expound on how your service can help academes? Because I think you were not able to really explain it well as to the specifics of exactly how they can be um, how they can also be at par with standards internationally, since we are also um, aiming for that for ASEAN integration. And number two, with regards to business ethics, and you mentioned also policy making as being part of the
Integrity
yeah,
initiative.
integrity
Yeah.
initiative. What is the stand for policies regarding LGBT employees, since they are basically um, experiencing some discrimination here in the country?
Oh, I'm not too. Oh, maybe you can help me expound on that. What discrimination is happening? Let me answer the first question. How can the services of an archive or record center help the academe, the schools, the universities? Is by identifying what files are commonly retrieved, digitizing this, and making this readily available real time to more than one or two units who need to access it. And on a nationwide basis, if you have universities or schools elsewhere, multi-sites, having this information residing in one central mainframe will, let's say for example, I'm a student, I need a copy of my transcript. You would not send me anymore to the province where I graduated. I could just walk into any branch, any site, and then they can just print it out because it's readily available information real time. In terms of business continuity, because you have backup, second level backup, you have the hard copy as the primary, second backup, and third backup in the server. Anything that could happen disaster-wise to your school or university, you can still operate at least 70 to 80% business as usual, as they say. With regard to the discrimination, I'm not too I don't have a lot of information with ongoing discrimination. Can you clarify on that? Can you? Discrimination in, yeah, what level?
For instance, they're not really in the policies, the list of like policies. Sometimes they are not really represented, but then they're getting this kind of
Would you, rather than discriminating,
foreign,
would you say selective
yeah,
implementation?
selective implementation. That's it.
Okay. So from the system's point of view, offhand, without looking into great detail on what's happening, I can just say that selective implementation would root from a weak system implementation, communication. So we have one standardized, uniform understanding, system communication, implementation monitoring, and validation auditing. So in the case of selective implementation, this will be addressed as it's highlighted during the audit, properly addressed also. Okay. All right. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much for staying this long, Teresa. Before you go, I'd like to ask you to help me so we can give about three more prizes before we proceed with the wrap-up. Who knows? You'll be given the prize. Yes. You see, because you're not even looking. Can you read it for me? She did pick her card. Give it to her. Please give it to her. At least a remembrance. A remembrance of this event. Oo nga eh. Sige. Okay. Teka. One more.
Amy Salgados, Area Sales Head from Cerulean.
There you go. Please claim your prize here, Amy. But there will be some more later, huh? No, you're not going away yet.
Forgive me if I don't pronounce this right. Kais Patel?
Guys Patel. You have a bag. Thank you very much. Now, it is our turn to give you your memento. Yes, you do. Thank you very much, Teresa, for coming over, being a part of the Entrepreneurship Conference and Expo. And we hope to be seeing you more during the events of the Cebu Chamber. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Sir Nonoy, I hope you won't go away because I'm going to call on you right now as you will be talking about what we just did for the past few days and where are we going after this. Ladies and gentlemen, please, let's give a warm welcome to our conference chairman, Mr. Nonoy Espeleta.
So we only have very few people left after 2 days. And I said, hey, this is a very, very young audience. Do you agree with that? So these are the very people who will now play an important role in trying to, implement. You are the implementer and as well as the beneficiary of the ASEAN integration. Do you believe in that? You will be greatly affected with the ASEAN integration. Okay, so with that, thank you for staying for the past 2 days. And we were supposed to have the speaker on the fourth. Actually, the fourth pillar was discussed already in many of the speakers, no? And this is about leveraging the ASEAN brand towards going into global. And I am tasked also to replace Jay Uvalius, who cannot make it here today. So what I will do is maybe pick your brains. In the past 2 days, you've been learning. So download, right? Did you learn a lot? Did you learn something? Many things, right? Okay. Uh, Let me ask you, what are the key points that you learned that may be useful to your company, to your industry, and maybe even to yourself that you should have, some agenda when you go back to your respective places? Any volunteer here? I thought you learned a lot. Anybody? Okay.
I will look forward to meeting Senator Bam Aquino to try to see how we can offer our assistance and advocacy for his programs.
So what do you do?
We are consultants for customer experience and customer service. We measure customer service performance of frontliners through mystery shopping and also training.
Oh, that's great. You're based in Cebu? Manila. You should also have, you have clients, but you don't have office in Cebu. Okay, not yet. Okay, I think we should talk about that. Anyway, because, I'm also part of the angelpreneurs, they call that, in the Go Negosyo. And we mentor. We mentor startups, we mentor entrepreneurs in different topics. No? And I'm very happy that finally we'll have a Go Negosyo Center here in Cebu and the rest of the Visayas and Mindanao. No? And it's very, I think we at this point, parang, I would also like to call others, especially the people who are experienced in business, to help out and be part of the Go Negosyo. We call that the entrepreneurship, the Angel Entrepreneur Group. Okay, so we'll count on you. Any other things?
My name is Christian. I'm from the academe, and though I do also have my own startup, in the academe, especially with SEDFIT, which is the Cebu Educational Foundation for Information Technology, and PSITE, the Philippine Society of IT Educators. The ASEAN integration is one of our biggest problem. How do we cope up with the skills that other nations would be offering when the integration would be in place? So now, after this conference, that I think we also have to double time our effort, especially on the IT, especially on the kind of students we're going to produce afterwards, and the standard of education that we're giving to our students. And I think this kind of conference and this kind of talk would also be given to the academe for us to be able to prepare the workforce during the ASEAN integration.
Thank you. Indeed, sayang, no? Because we have tried our very best to get good lineup of speakers, but there are a lot of vacant seats around. And sayang lang, no? And, when you said, you now realize the gaps, there are certain things that you have to do after being aware of what is to come. And that is what I said in the opening, in my opening statement yesterday, that we are so busy operationally. We're so busy, we're so engrossed with the present. And even sometimes, people are still looking at the past. And they're not looking at the future, anticipating the future. They're not planning at all for the future. And that is so sad. And one day I said, one day we'll wake up, somebody else is getting the market away from us. Okay, so you have an agenda when you go back, no? That's the challenge, no? That's a challenge. So, in fact, it is at this point in time that maybe you should reflect. We should all reflect internally, because there are a lot of things beyond our control, but there are a lot of things that are within our control. What are the things we should improve? What are the things that we perhaps we have to work on to be competitive? Okay? So, time to reflect. And maybe any other sharing? Other thoughts?
Good afternoon, everyone. Actually, I'm from the real estate industry, and I'd like to be honest that we are here because we would like to look for opportunities where we could offer real estate in terms of the integration. But it turned out I learned so much, no? And one of the things that I could not forget is inclusive growth. I think that should be the buzzword, Bana.
Yeah.
While we are all looking at growth, we should also be more conscious of how it will actually impact. All the good effects of the ASEAN integration should be trickled down to the grassroots.
Yeah, okay, that's right. And inclusive growth, that means we have to look first within ourselves. That means we have to look at opportunities around. We look at ASEAN as a big market. We look at ASEAN integrating with the ASEAN economy, but we don't have the fundamentals within us. So inclusive growth, we look at the value chain. No? Earlier, Senator Bam Aquino said inclusive growth by looking at the value chain and even trying to help maybe even the supply side or even the consumer side, helping them together. Especially, I challenge the bigger companies. The bigger companies have I would say maybe the responsibility to develop their own suppliers, to develop their little brothers, I would say. The little brothers, and they should not squeeze them out, but help them even grow their businesses. Okay? Any other thought?
Oh, I think I failed to ask this earlier with the panelists and the banking sector. Uh, Again, from the academe, aside from security of files, because I'm in the innovation technology support system, and the value of, you know, cutting the copy paste culture that we have in the academe, because we're aiming for everyone, especially the teachers, to be research driven. Aside from those things, I also wanted to ask earlier if there's a possibility, especially here in Cebu, since we're integrating, ASEAN, for student loans, because most of the scholarships are actually based on bracketing of income, and only few give need blind kind of policy for scholarships. So I think that would be my takeaway to really reflect on that as well.
Yeah. Education is the best equalizer. And um, really, there are a lot of talents around, but they lack the opportunity to pursue higher education because of perhaps the inability to maybe support themselves in education. And I think yesterday it was mentioned by Department of Science and Technology that they are looking at scholarships. Uh, can you elaborate on that? Yesterday, scholarships.
Okay, good afternoon. So I'm Tristan Abanda of the OST Cebu. And yeah, I believe that having that acquired education because of financial constraints is actually, I think it's not a problem anymore because there are several scholarship programs available or offered by the government, and these scholarship programs for SNT career or SNT courses are available for undergraduate. undergraduate courses or undergraduate program. And we have also a scholarship for graduate programs for those who would like to pursue master's and PhD degrees on science and technology. And there are several scholarship programs offered by the government. So you just have to, and we would like to actually thank also the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry for partnering with us for this entrepreneurship conference, because we believe that it is a great avenue also for us to inform the business community and the public in general about the different programs and services of DOST, because maybe some of you or most of you don't know about the different programs and services of the DOST. And after 2 days, hopefully you were able to be enlightened about what DOST can help, not only on scholarship, okay, offering scholarship, but also technology-based interventions for the small and medium enterprises. And we have heard also about DTI's program and other programs of the government. And of course, we need to do something as well on how to improve the efficiency of the delivery of services of the government, having heard the different comments and suggestions of the business sector or some representatives of the business sector. And I think or I believe that I would like to share what I learned most about this session was the statement from, was that from Mr. J. Uvalius? Okay, and it's so hopefully we could learn from that. We could demand more from our leaders, or maybe from the government in particular, as long as we have demand more of ourselves.
Yes. No.
So please, let's cooperate, diba? We should go beyond blaming the government, but rather we should go and push also the government, tell us how we can help you better.
Yeah, yeah. And I thank you very much for that. I also emphasize that in fact, in the past 2 days, we really learned a lot how and what government agencies are doing. And I said again, I'd like to repeat, we have to trust our government, and we have to believe in the government, and we don't complain, but let's do our part really in helping move this country forward. And thank you very much also for partnering with us. And I'd like to go back. It's about the scholarship. So one is that there are government agencies offering scholarships. There are also private entities offering scholarships. There are also schools who have allocated certain number of slots for scholarships. And I can share that because I finished my education through scholarships in college, and even I took my master's degree through scholarships. Without those, maybe I wouldn't be here standing in front of you. So maybe, yeah, payback time. I'm also supporting some institutions in terms of scholarships. Okay, any other insights? Oh, from this table.
No, Noy?
Up.
Here.
Okay, Father.
Yeah,
Bless me, Father.
I am Father Bart. Baka ang iba ay nagtataka, anong ginagawa ng pari dito?
May negosyo si Father, oh.
Ang mga pari kasi nagdadasal lang kung common na pag-uunawa. By the way, I am Father Bart Sagadal, a graduate of Master in Development Management at AIM. My advocacy is human ecological sustainable development, that it has several components: educating, organizing, mobilizing, entrepreneurship, and infrastructures. So when I was invited by Sami, as I visited the DOST, I am so lucky that I was able to participate and gain more knowledge on different perspective on entrepreneurship. And most especially sa aking bias, because I am really looking for support, investments, or technical support, that I have gained more what I expected. And I am happy to realize some opportunities and challenges potentials on entrepreneurship. And of course, as a priest, I was trying to reflect on what could we do as religious to help uh, the the mindset of liberating, transformative, or developmental spirituality. That our spirituality should be complementing to what we are aspiring. Sa parlance ng simbahan, the new heaven and new earth, maybe sa atin ngayon ay we hope to achieve this ASEAN by the integration of the different components or development perspectives. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Father. No, and Father, align tayo dyan, Father. But in business parlance, we don't really talk about spirituality, but we talk about your sense of mission as a business. All right? We don't talk about spirit, but you know, when I earlier I said no, I encourage my clients to pray before every meeting. But well, there are clients. You can tell naman the spirituality of the clients. You say, I ask them to lead the prayer. They say, "Our Father who art in heaven, holy be your name," etc. Hey, my daughter knows about that also, that prayer. But it is good to pray from your heart, straight from your heart. Okay? But earlier, it was discussed also the framework. You see, if you have the vision and the mission of the company, what is your mission in the company? What is your sense of mission? What is the business for after all? Of course, profit is very important to sustain the business. But beyond profit, what is it that you are called for? Because every business, to me, is a calling for you to do something good for the humanity, not only for your family, not only for the owners, but also for the humanity and for the good of all. So in that sense, there is spirituality if you mean there is that calling. Okay, I hope we are aligned on that. A way of life. Liberate these people, help these people, and make them really become, achieve the dignity, the human dignity that they deserve, right? Even poverty alleviation, no, is a sense of calling for us businessmen. Okay, so we can talk about that.
No.
Yeah. Anything else? I think this table first.
Okay, so I think what we lack right now, or something, my take on this, that like that, what they said yesterday, 4% of 96%, am I correct, saying that of the business in the Philippines is composed of SMEs, and the other 4%, of course, the big companies. So it's like saying that you're in a pond, you have the sharks, which are the SMs, the Ayalas, whoever, Aboitis, the big players, Lopez's and all. And we have to, maybe it would be good, since we generate a lot of income, the SMEs generate a lot of income for the economy as well. Like we said, we form 96% of the economy. My point is that the SMEs should somehow form a council or a union wherein they're represented in the government also. I mean, we don't have the money to lobby for changes and restructure in the Congress. First of all, for transparency, for example, that I mean, we don't have that influence. But if all the SMEs would join a council wherein we're represented in the government, or we could lobby in the government to push for changes that would protect the SMEs, it would be good for everybody. And we don't, as individual companies, we don't have the influence to make changes.
Okay.
But if we do come together, for example, like here in Cebu, and lobby for changes that would improve the business society, that would contribute, to help SMEs grow, because we're being squeezed out right now by the big fish, the big fishes, and we just have, it's like working for them. Even if you're an SME, you have to work for certain companies because they have the leverage, they have resources, and they have, the girth to compete with you. Or it's like, okay, if you don't follow what I want, I'll just eat you up, and that's it. Yeah, you're dead, you're finished. So most of the people here in this room are in that sector, and it's already hard to compete with them. And without the help of the government, and with them working with the government, it even makes it harder for us to compete with the bigger players in the market. And the coming of the ASEAN integration will not help us, SMEs, if we don't have that push or leverage with the government to protect the SMEs. Like in other countries, like in Singapore, for example, they give more grants, they give more credits, they give more support to SMEs. If you want to upgrade your equipment, the government grants you a certain amount that you'll pay for 60% of that, or even for people, will pay a certain amount of your people, will pay for the training of your people. That's how they encourage the SMEs. They don't need to grant tax exemptions to bigger companies. Like they have a cap. Like for example, if your annual revenue is more than $10 million a year, then you're not considered an SME anymore. So it's like that. They have a cap for that, and then if you're entitled to it, then they give it to you. You get tax breaks, you get cheaper equipment. If you want to upgrade something, they help you out. They have a faster way of assessing your requirements for permits, anything.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
they support us.
Yeah. So that's why if you recall, most of the programs by DOST and even DTI is already targeting the SMEs. And that is why there is more reason for SMEs to even join the Chamber of Commerce, because we are the voice of the business. I mean, like, yes, we don't fight we are not after all fighting the big boys, but the level playing field has to be, set there, no? And that's why you have the Fair Competition Act, you have the Go Negosyo Act, etc., etc. And, if we say we have to be represented in government, I think we had our speaker earlier was really our representative in the Senate. Okay, I think.
Yeah.
I'd just like to connect with what you said, because we don't have to have another council. The chamber, the organization, if you don't belong to the chamber is really made up of the SMEs. And we would be very happy to have you. And we also, no, we have, it's local, but we help other chambers in Visayas and Mindanao get organized. And we belong to the Philippine Chamber family. So we're able to deliver our messages and demand for action, so to speak, in a very nice way, in different levels, different ways. Now we sit down in the councils, both in Cebu City Council, Provincial Development Council, Regional Development Council, to bring the voice. And these activities like this is to really be able to engage more from the others who are not normally there. So we're not a social organization, but the membership organization is what you may be looking for. So if you're not yet a member, we encourage you to become. I know you are, but then others as well can join. We have many activities which help the SMEs. We have many projects with government, like we have an Our Food project for the food sustainability and food safety, good manufacturing practices and the like. So we have so many activities, and maybe you'll hear more of them if you join our Grand Chamber Awards night, right? Which will come on June 30, so that you'll see more of what we've been doing. So you'll feel great.
By the way, she's also our other Energizer bunny in the Cebu Chamber.
Actually, this is a follow-up also to our executive director's statement that this particular conference really opened eyes. And I just feel bad that there are just a few. And I'd like to just share with you what I got from this conference. Last night when I was attending the networking, I even embraced Engineer Paradella because I was told that we will have a meeting this coming Monday with Department of Science and Technology to discuss on the utility models of Cebu Technological University. And they will be giving us the packaging center. And this we will discuss it further for the Visayas in as much as that is part of their program. There are a lot of programs and services by our government agencies which we are not aware of. And just like what the senator was discussing, there are a lot of things that I don't know even when I am an officer of, I am supposed to be the past president for 5 years for PhilExport Cebu, but there are still things that I don't know that the government is doing. And of course, we cannot just say that the government is not doing. Probably ourselves, we are not doing our part, like attending the trainings of the Cebu Chamber. And this is the first time I felt bad yesterday because I did not continue because I need to finish up some things in my own company, some problems like this that I really need to resolve. So that's why I left, but I came in the evening and I was just told by Engineer Paradella that they have some plans of me doing some projects with them. So I encourage those, I really congratulate those who stayed behind because I'm sure we will be getting, we are still placing hope for our country that we can really do something. And if the government agencies, if the government officials in the administration would not do something, we do ourselves. And because I am in the business for the last 34 years, and I would not really survive if I don't have the patience to really swim with the tide. So, and I really appreciate this entrepreneurship conference because there are a lot of things, new things, which I have learned. And if we are going, there are losers definitely in the ASEAN integration, but we must not think as a loser because we will just be collaborating. We must be included in the value chain because we will be representing the whole block as ASEAN, as one block. We are not competing with each other, but we are collaborators for the success of one block, one ASEAN block. Thank you.
Okay, it's good.
We have
well
one,
said.
We have one, he's also going to say something later.
Yeah, please allow me to share some insights or maybe some experience in doing business because since we have all the ingredients for the past 2 days, we have all the ingredients from the conference. Said technology, innovation, you have to innovate, and we have already also provided with all the economic information or economic numbers, and also one of the speech of Mark Zuckerberg is the biggest risk is not to take calculated risks. So these are all ingredients in doing business, to the success of your business. But I would like to point out of all these ingredients, we need to add, like, in order to connect to the discussion a while ago about the way of life, the spirituality. It's about when you set up a business, there's a core purpose. I think you will agree with me that when we set up a business, it's not because of, I want to set up a business because it's profitable. It emanates from value, or it emanates from a passion. So if you have that core purpose, then if you have that core value, and then it means that anything you do internally inside your company and externally to your suppliers or other supply chain, then by just doing good, the profit will be the consequence. You just remember that. Yung profit is only because if our main purpose is only profit, maybe the business will not be sustainable. No? So that's the another ingredients of all the ingredients we have here. So I just want to share my experience. Even I'm a small, small businessman, but I really feel that for the past 25 years, everything I do, I always see to it that I have good intention, and anything, the rest will be very smooth sailing. So yun lang, doing good, and your profit will be the consequence.
Okay, that just about wraps up the whole thing. But before, Sir Nono is going to be doing the final wrap up.
Okay. So I'll just stay here.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me. Well, I opened the conference yesterday, and maybe I just perhaps put all things together, and so that we have maybe something to take home. We have discussed a lot of learnings, and I'll just try to encapsulate everything here, no? And last year's Cebu Business Month, in fact, we had a lot of conferences also, and one of the very first conference we had, the question, in fact, the title of the conference was in a form of question. If you were to start a new business today, will you go to the same business that you are into right now? Think about it. If you are to start a new business today, will you go to the same business that you are into now? Could be a philosophical, could be a strategic question. But it means that, hey, if I have my way, and I ask this to some of my clients, or maybe if I had the way, because they were just maybe second or third generation who manage the business, maybe we should have gone into other businesses, or maybe I should go into another business. And with that I say, then our plan is to maximize the business and sell it off. Sell the business. Do away with the business. But if your answer is yes, I will go into the same business, then you have to invest in growing the business. Invest in growing the business. And so this brings us, in fact, the last statement of our last speaker, Teresa, says, we have to rethink, redesign, and rebuild the business. So earlier I said, what is really applicable to our business right now? Maybe we have to think internal and external. First is presently, internally, what are the things that we should look at? Meaning, what are the things that we should assess? What are the areas of improvements? We look at I will start again with a philosophical statement. Why are you in business after all? And it connects to Francis' sharing. Why are you in business after all? Is it for the money? Is it for the family? Is it for a noble purpose? And I agree, Francis, I always tell this also to my clients. Profit should be a reward of something that you are doing good. You are saying it is a consequence. Profit is a reward of something that you are rewarded because you are doing something good. Okay? So you look at internally, where do you want to bring the business 5 years, 10 years from now? And if you are in the family, if your business is a family business, how do you want your family to be with respect to the business 5 years or 10 years from now? Do you want to be united? Do you want to be intact? Do you want to run the business yourself? And moving forward, do you want to keep the ownership among yourself? Or are you open to collaborate? Are you open to joint venture? Are you open to acquire new business? Are you open to even be bought out? So this is something that you have to think forward. And then when you think about internally, you look at your marketing, your branding, because I learned also, and this is very true. If your business or your product is not branded, or you are not building the brand of your product, you will just be a commodity. Now, if your product is a commodity, you will only sell on the basis of price. And if you sell on the basis of price, nobody wins in a price war. So what is your brand? What is your dream of your brand? How do you want your brand to be? Production capability. Your cost structures. Then you look at innovation, you look at how to do things better. Supply chain. Your supply system. How sustainable? Because if you're planning to expand your business, can your supply system, in fact, support your growth? Earlier, it was also mentioned standards, procedures, systems. Now, I'm struck with the statement 94% of the problem is systems related. 6% only is people related. So if you don't have a good system, no matter how good you put somebody there, a good person, you put somebody there, no, he will continue to make mistakes if your system is faulty. Review your systems, review your standards. Then review your organizational capability. How is your management? Are you running it yourself day to day? How, maybe it's a question of how are you multiplying yourself? How are you cloning yourself? You have to clone yourself because if you want to grow, you want to have people who think the same way, who can do exactly what you want to do as if you are there right in the action. Are you attracting talents? Are you retaining talents as well? Is your company culture conducive to better performance? Do you have a performance-enhancing culture? And I'd like to emphasize that culture is a bedrock of strategies. Because no matter how good your strategies are, if you have a toxic culture in your company, you will not go anywhere. Remember, you can attract people with good pay, but it is the culture of your company which will make people stay in your company. Then you look at your industry. Are you in the right industry? Is your industry growing? Is your industry in plateau or in sunset? No matter how good you do, but your industry is a sunset industry. Goodbye. Competition. What's good with them? What's good with you? Maybe you look at your local competitors, you look at your Asian counterparts. What do you do? What are you good at? What are they good at? Can you complement each other? Can you cooperate? This is what you call co-opetition. And maybe collaboration. What in the value chain can you maybe cooperate? What in the value chain can you integrate together? And this is the time perhaps to consider mergers, acquisitions, joint ventures. Because if you do it alone, if you say you're only that small, but you realize that you know that you're good into something, build on it, and maybe you can partner with somebody. Then we look outward. We look outward. In the past 2 days, we've listened, we've heard what the government is doing. So what are the government agencies that your business or maybe your industry should collaborate closely and work closely together? Because they have programs that maybe your company and maybe your industry can benefit. Are you a member of an industry association? How strong is your industry association? Because that is a key. And one of the presenters yesterday said, there's a need to collaborate between government and industry. The industry. And the industry association has to be very strong and has to be represented. Because that industry, you develop that industry roadmap, you implement that industry roadmap, you coordinate with the government in terms of what you need. And maybe you can agree, what are our scorecards? So that you have to keep track on what you're doing and making sure that you have achieved something. Beyond that, there's a big challenge of this ASEAN integration. Yes, the weak ones will not sustain. Only the big ones. No, not the big ones. Only those who put the right fundamentals today, starting today, can work towards maximizing the benefit of this ASEAN integration. So the challenge is really for all of us growing and sustaining our business. So we encourage you, personally I encourage you, look at your internal systems. You look at even your governance system, how you are handling, how you're working, how you're managing, how you are directing your company with respect to the overall picture that you have learned in the past 2 days. And so with that, I hope that everybody will go home renewed, maybe, and we'll have clearer agenda to work on. And let's work together with the Cebu Chamber of Commerce. We can help you. We'll help each other. Let's help each other move forward and be prepared for this eventual ASEAN integration. Good afternoon.
Before I let you go, Sir Noy, we'll draw, because there are a lot of prizes to be given. We'll draw 3 first, then we're going to invite